Hi, honeys. It's Michelle with Books Cause Insomnia. Today I'm going to be doing book tags. And I say book tags, plural, because I'm going to be doing 3 of them. 2 of them I was tagged in and 1 of them I was not. But I thought it'd be fun to just get a few of them out of the way that I have been accumulating. The first tag that I want to do, and I'll put chapters down below so that you can skip ahead if you're not interested in certain tags or whatnot. But the first tag is called the J tag. And I was tagged by AJ Dunn Reads and Writes. And I will link their tag video down in the description box. It was also created by Jim at Jim's Books, Reading and Stuff. And I will also link their video down below. Okay, for the J's here, we've got J is for Japan. What was the last book you read by a Japanese author? I had to look this up because I feel like I'm pretty broad in which authors I read and where they live and where they're from and what their ethnicity is and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? I have not read any books by Japanese authors, which is really disturbing. So I'm going to have to get on that. J is for Jamaica. What was the last book you read by an author from the Caribbean? Well, I haven't read anything from an author from the Caribbean. However, I do have a book in my TBR stack that's from an author from the Caribbean, so I'm not sure if that counts. But what I have is Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rye. If you're familiar with Jane Eyre, this book is about what happened to the other woman in the book. The one, was she locked in the basement or up in an attic? I feel like it was in an attic, right? It's been long enough since I read this, or since I read Jane Eyre, that I'm not really trying to remember. I think she was up in the attic, locked in a room. But this book is somebody's take on what happened, like who that woman was and what happened to her and that kind of stuff. So this is her story. If you saw my last video, you know that I'm really struggling with the smoke from the fires and it just keeps getting worse. So I do apologize if I'm stuffy or my eyes are red or whatever. I'm struggling. My allergies are so bad right now from it. I mean, just allergies in general, but then you add that to it and it's like, it's just too much. J is for Jane Austen and July. What are you reading for hashtag Jane Austen July 2021? I have another confession to make. I've never read a Jane Austen book. I have one. Oh, where did it go? Oh. In my TBR stack, and that is the book Emma. And I hope to get to it sometime soon. I don't know. My TBR stack is pretty big, but I'm going to be working on going through it a little bit more here, and you'll find out about that soon in a future video. J is for James Joyce. What is your favorite novel by James Joyce? Have you been brave enough to tackle Finnegan's Wake? You guys, I've never read James Joyce either. I was tagged, so I wanted to do it, but I probably would not have decided to do this one on my own because so many of them I haven't read or yet. Let's say yet. Haven't read them yet. J is for joke. Tell us a bookish joke. Okay. I'm so sorry. I really do mean well, okay? But I looked up bookish jokes because I couldn't think of any, and I found none of them funny, so I'm not going to tell you a bookish joke. J is for Jaguar. Enzo Ferrari described the Jaguar E-Type as the most beautiful car in the world. What do you consider the most beautiful car in the world? Right now, I had to look this up too because I'm not really a car person. I don't know what's up with me. I am so terrible, right? My favorite car looks wise that I found when I looked up some of the beautiful cars that are out right now is the Aston Martin Super Leggera. I'll put a picture up here so you can see what I'm talking about. This next one I was also tagged in by AJ Dunn Reads and Writes, and I will put a link to their video down in the description box for this one as well. This second tag is called the Are You Like Jane Austen tag, which was created by Shelley Swearingen, and I will put their video of the original tag also in the description box. So we've got a lot of videos to choose from down there. Number 1, Jane Austen was an artist and a writer. Give yourself a point if you're an artist. Give yourself an extra point if you are a writer. I get 1 point for this one because I am not a writer, and I just don't think I'm a good writer. But I am an artist. I have been for many years. I do have, if you want to see it, I'll put the link down in the description box. My main Instagram page, not my book one, but my main one, which you're welcome to follow me there. I will follow you back. I've got a bunch of my artwork on there. Like, if you scroll down, there's probably hundreds of paintings there. But if you want to see into my mind, go ahead and take a look. And I do have paintings for sale also online. The link to that is in the Instagram, my main Instagram page. But so I definitely am an artist, but I am not a writer. So I only get 1 point there. Number 2, Austen was born to a large family. She had a total of 7 siblings, 1 sister and 6 brothers. Give yourself a point if you have 3 or more siblings. Okay. I don't know if this counts. I think it does though, because you end up being raised with these people as if they were your siblings. But I've got 2 brothers, and then I have a stepbrother and 2 stepsisters. So to me, yes, my 2 brothers are my brothers, but the other ones kind of are siblings as well. I grew up with them. So I'm not sure if that counts or not. I think I'm just going to count it. It probably counts. Number 3, Austen did not enjoy her formal education. Give yourself a point if you did not care for school. I take this to mean K through 12 school, which I absolutely hated. I barely graduated, and I skipped so much that the truancy officer was constantly contacting my mom. But then, figure this one out. When I went to college, I think I was 25 when I started college. I was like on the dean's list and stuff. Like I was really good once I was interested, but I found K through 12 to just be, quite frankly, too boring. I think that's why I hated it. It wasn't geared towards people that learn the way I do, if that makes any sense. So that's another point. So we're at 3 points now. Number 4, dark humor is woven throughout Austen's writing. Give yourself a point if you have a grim sense of humor. You must share a dark joke in order to get this point. Okay, I think I am. I'm very sarcastic, and I think I do have a very dark sense of humor. My sense of humor is probably also very crass. I think my mind's in the gutter a lot. So the joke that I had to look up jokes though, because I'm not really a joke teller. I just like listening to jokes. I went to a disco last night. They played the twist. I did the twist. They played jump. I jumped. They played Come On Eileen. I got kicked out for that one. I thought that was funny. I know. See what I mean? I am kind of dark, right? Or disgusting or inappropriate. So I'll give myself a point for that. I've also been told by a few of my friends that I have a sadistic sense of humor, which I couldn't find a good sadistic joke. I tried, but They didn't, if you look up sadistic jokes, they're not really sadistic. They're off color. Okay. Number 5, Jane broke off 2 engagements and died a spinster. Give yourself a point if you are single. I can't, I'm married. Number 6, Austen experienced low periods or spells of depression. Give yourself a point if you have struggled with mental health. Yes, I get a point there. For anyone who doesn't know, I have PTSD and generalized anxiety. I have been diagnosed. However, I've got a little bit of good news here. I am medication free right now, and I have been for about 6 months. I'm at a point right now, after years of trying to deal with all these things, that as long as I go to therapy on a regular basis, so far anyway, I don't need medication. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to start getting my panic attacks again, and it doesn't mean that my anxiety won't come back, but right now I'm in a really good place, which I'm very excited about. And I mention this because if you are going through mental health issues, don't give up. I only had to go to therapy for 20 years after my abuse to not have to take medication. So don't give up. Eventually you will get better. Number 7, Jane moved away from her childhood home in her 20s. Give yourself a point if you've lived away from your childhood hometown or region. Yeah, I definitely get a point for that. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest on the peninsula in Washington State. And I definitely have moved away. Like, I've moved all the way to the East Coast. I moved to Florida, and now I live in Vegas. But I don't intend on ever moving back home. So I guess I would definitely get a point for that. Number 8, Jane was not vain. Give yourself a point if you have very little interest in vanity. Okay, I'm giving myself a point. And the reason is, well, I mean, I'm sitting here with no makeup on talking to you. I think if I was vain, I would have a lot of makeup on. But I know the other thing that people consider vain is looking in the mirror. I used to look in the mirror a lot for a couple reasons. One, I was a dancer at ballet. Ballet dancers have to look in the mirror constantly to look at their form. So that, to me, is not necessarily vain. It's just I'm trying to be a good dancer, right? I do have a practice of looking myself in the eye in the mirror every day, but I just think that that is a way of keeping a conscience and making sure that it's clear. Like, I feel like what I mean by that is I wouldn't do anything that would be so bad that I wouldn't be able to look myself in the eye in the mirror every day. I know I'm a different person. I'm definitely my own person and kind of strange, but Number 9, hair was of little concern to Austen. Give yourself a point if you cannot be bothered with your hair. Well, since my hair is always in a bun or a ponytail, I'm giving myself a point. I am not into my hair at all. Number 10, Jane expressed her distaste for hot weather. Give yourself a point if you dislike the heat. You know, I like to think that I don't like the heat, but I keep moving places that are excessively hot. I live in the desert, and I actually really love it. So I'm not going to give myself a point for that. Okay, so my total points are 1, 2, 4, 8. Okay, how did you score? With an 8, it says, in another life, Jane Austen and you could have been siblings or at least good friends. You want to spend time with one another and work to make that happen. Okay, I will take this as my sign that I need to start reading Jane Austen books. Okay, this last tag I found, it's called the Mood tag, and it was created by Brittany at Slanted Spines. And I will link their video down in the description box as well. Number 1, do you consider yourself a mood reader? Sometimes. I try to do a TBR every month, and I try to stick with it, especially if there's a new release coming out that I really want to read, or if I have an arc that especially lately, the arcs I do are actually authors asking me to read their books. And I let the author pick when the video is posted, which is usually right before the release date so people don't forget about it. So I read it to meet the deadlines. I don't really wait till I feel like reading it. But occasionally I'll put off reading a book because I'm not in the mood for it. Number 2, do you set TBR lists and do you stick to them? Well, I just answered that, so you know the answer. Number 3, do books affect you emotionally? Does the mood of a book rub off on you? Absolutely it does. And not only does the mood of a book rub off on me, but it will stay with me for months or years on end, depending on what it is. And usually, though, it's just that when I like the feel of what has rubbed off on me. Like if a book scares me, that doesn't stay with me. But if a book touches me in some way or has meaning to me, it'll stay with me a long time. And I usually reread those books too. When you're feeling sad, what do you read? Or do you not read when sad? When I'm feeling sad, what do I read? Usually I'll read something that will get my mind off of it. That's part of why I read mysteries and thrillers and horror novels, is I feel like they grab my attention and yank it to a different place. Whereas if I read a fiction book or a romance novel or a bunch of different other kinds of books, they don't grab me and pull me away the same way. And I actually think that is part of how I've been able to control my panic attacks, is if I start feeling really anxious, I just grab a book and get my mind on something else. And it took me a long time to be able to do that, because when I would have panic attacks, I used to not be able to concentrate on anything else. But now I figured out how to do it. Usually, I mean, every once in a while, if a panic attack is bad enough, I can't do it. But it really is therapeutic for me to do it that way. So I definitely will read a book when I'm sad or anxious, and it'll be, like I said, a thriller, a mystery, or a horror novel. Number 5, most often do you use reading to escape, to learn, or to critically reflect? Well, I feel like I kind of just answered that. It's definitely a way to escape. But I also love reading books to learn. If a book is about someone who's different than me in some way, that's what I want to read, because I want to understand other people and learn about other people. So I do use books to learn about other people. I also like to read about other cultures, which I guess that's kind of in some ways the same thing, but and then to critically reflect, probably not as much. I think it's more trying to learn or trying to escape. Number 6, what is a book that made you laugh out loud? A book that made me laugh out loud? Oh, I just read one. Where'd it go? I just read this. The author sent it to me, and I did literally laugh out loud multiple times. And this one's called The Murderous Haircut of the Mayor of Bel Air, a Psychic Barber Mystery by Phillip, Mottaz. So that was definitely a funny book. What is a book that has made you cry? Ooh, I just cried in a book recently. What was it? Didn't I? I feel like I did. Do you remember? Oh, this one made me cry. A Crime in the Family by Sacha Batthyany. This one is about ancestral memory and how that can affect us. And I got really emotional because, so my grandpa moved here in, I think it was 1921. And he had been a prisoner of war. He was from Finland, and he had been a prisoner of war over there. and he was being held by the Russians, and I got so emotional at some of the scenes in this book that explain what prisoners of war go through, and it's just, it was a lot, and it actually explains a lot about who I am and who some of my family members are too. I feel like we've kind of inherited some of his genetic memory from what he went through. So that book definitely made me cry. Number 8, what is a book that you didn't even know how you felt about? Okay, that one I can definitely say for sure. The Final Girls Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I still don't know what I thought of it. I loved parts of it. I hated parts of it. Parts of it frustrated me. Parts of it excited me. I don't know. I don't know what I thought of it. Number 9. Are you more likely to read on a sunny day or a cloudy day? Well, actually, I can't answer that. I read every day. All the time. I think my favorite time to read, though, is in the fall when it just starts cooling off. I love to open up the windows and light some candles and just have all the natural light and the fresh air coming in. I love that. And then a little bit of candle scent on top of it. Number 10, do you usually set the mood when you read? Music, lights, smells, etc. Well, like I just mentioned, yes, I absolutely do. At this time of year, it's usually, once again, candles, coffee or tea. In the fall, it's going to be hot apple cider when I'm reading, or tea, that kind of thing. Like, I definitely get really into, also, another thing I really like, hi, my other cat is here, Zelda. I don't know if you guys have met her. Do you want to say hi? I'm definitely into reading in certain places, and I like to listen to records while I read. So this, say hi, look up, there you go. This beautiful girl here is Zelda. And she, I don't know if she's going to stay here with me or not, but she's 13, and so she's getting very crotchety and cranky in her elderly years. So I'm surprised that she's not mad at me, because I had to cut her nails this morning and she was screaming bloody murder. You would think I was physically hurting her the way she was screaming, huh? But now you're not getting stuck on anything anymore. That's the only reason I would ever cut your nails, because I know you've got these beautiful long nails. She cracks me up. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I like to listen to records, light some candles. I get very into what I'm drinking when I'm reading. Certain times of the year I like to crochet, and so I'll kind of snuggle up under a blanket that I've made, because they're just super soft and cozy, the crocheted blankets are. And I, of course, cuddle with Zelda and Marty when I read, don't I? Can I lean forward? I want to get... okay, there we go. Okay. Number 11. Can you leap from book to book, or do you need buffer time between them? Buffer time between them? Well, I don't usually... No, I don't need buffer time. Usually I have a audiobook I'm listening to and then a physical book that I'm reading. Sometimes they're the same book, but usually they're not. And then I as soon as I'm done with one, within an hour, I jump to the next one. I definitely don't give myself time between books, because well, especially now that I have this channel, I love reading and I want to move on to the next book so that I can talk to you about more books. I'm not trying to rush through them or anything, but I definitely am not trying to give myself a lot of time between them either. On this particular tag, I've changed my mind and decided that I will tag a few people. So who I'm going to tag here, I will put the page names here because I can't remember anybody's page names. I'm awful. Hi. I'm going to tag M. I'm going to tag AJ. I'm going to tag my friend Kristen. And you might want to check out Kristen. She's been on YouTube for a while, but she's like me, where she's got a main page where she started out and then eventually decided to start her own book page. Her and I kind of have a very similar journey that way. So she just started her book channel. Well, that's it. That's the whole tag video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. And you're going to say goodbye? She just wants to burrow into my armpit for some reason. Come here. Oh, say goodbye. Oh, no, you're just... Okay, never mind. She's not going to say goodbye. Do you hear that purring? She's purring so loud. The pretty girl? The pretty girl? Anyway. Happy reading, and I love you. Bye.